Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Shanna. Now, this past Sunday night on my live, we created these three cards with this Betterpress plate. And I kept saying on that live that we needed to try the glimmering, but we just ran out of time because we made these three cards. We tried, this one is the one we're going to recreate today with the glimmer. But with the because this particular Betterpress came with a registration sheet, you could duplicate it so that you could cover your full panel. And so the first one I made with just a half panel, and then the other two I made with a full panel and used some different colors and stuff. But this one we're going to do just like the first one, and we're going to do a half panel. I don't know that you could use that registration on this heat. I think it would make it buckle, and then it wouldn't lay right on the Betterpress, so I didn't want to try it. So that's why I'm just recreating the first card where we just laid this down once. And we also brought in that border press plate as well. And so I'm going to do the same thing with this. I will link all the materials in the description box below so you can check them out. But I just thought I would just go ahead and try out the glimmer with this Betterpress plate, and we'll do a little comparison of how the cards turned out. So my machine's ready, and I've got my plate laying down, both my plates laying down on there with my foil, and I just grabbed a teal colored foil. I didn't have a blue, and so I thought we'll just use this teal to kind of replicate the other card. We're also going to use the other flower. I had two flowers I was working with on my live. One was the bachelor button, and the other one, I can't recall the name of it at the moment. It was like purple or lilac something. Anyway, I'm going to use that flower on this one just because it had less layers, and I could just run it through the die cutting machine twice, and then a third time for the centers, and that would be all I would need. And it's pretty simple to assemble. So I'm taking the die that goes with this border, and you can see the borders laying there to the left. You've got three different press plates that you can press a border on the bottom, and then you actually have four different dies to cut those out. One of them is duplicated so that you can cut both sides of it out. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this bottom down, and then we'll trim the panel down so it'll be A2 size. And I'm going to put it in there to where I can just run just the edge of it through so that I don't run all of my glimmering through the die cutting machine. I don't think that it would mess it up, but I just didn't want to risk it. So I've got my panel ready, and I could probably almost do a landscape card with this particular panel, but I'm going to cut it down similarly to the first card that I showed you. It won't be exact because I didn't measure where I cut the panel at and where I laid the that lower border down. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and cut it how I want it, and then we'll get it laid down on the card. We will have a little bit more of the card base showing than what we do on the first card, because I made this one a little bit shorter, and so there was more of the card base, the layer showing. And I've decided I want to cut a little bit more off of this, and what I'm doing is eyeballing where those scallops kind of end, and so I was just kind of trying to get as many full ones that I could. And now I'm going to cut some of that top off because it's obviously too long for an A2 size card base at the moment. And I think I had a larger gap between the press plate die and the press plate border die, and so I think that's why it's a little bit, this one's a little bit shorter, because you can see there was more space between the border die and the floral die on that, and I put them a little bit closer together. I didn't pay attention to that when I laid it down on the glimmer, but it didn't matter because I was just trying to just kind of do the overall effect. So you can see I've got more card base showing. I actually kind of like that because I like that card base color. Now, I need to bring in a card base because I don't have one made, so I'm going to get it scored up and we'll get to working on this card. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking I didn't do my sentiment, but my Glimmer machine is still on. So I'll drag it back in and we'll get our sentiment laid down on there and start heating it up. And I'm going to choose the same one that I had on the other card just to kind of replicate it. I think it's Sending Easter Blessings is what it says. We'll just get it laid down on there. I'll bring in a little tiny piece of that foil, and I actually could use the bottom half of it that was hanging over the plate. So I'm just going to use a little strip, and we'll get it laid down on the foil, and I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of hammer mill and lay it down on there. And then we'll have our sentiment foiled, and we can get back to assembling this card. So we'll just get it layered up there and get it out of the way. And then we can start working on assembling this card. So I've got my A2 size card base, and it's just 110 hammer mill card stock, and I'm going to give it a good score with my bone folder. And then we'll get our panel laid down. Now in the upper right hand corner, I've got my floral elements laying there, and I'll just need to ink them up and get them assembled. Just trying to see which side I had cut it on. And we'll just get this laid down on there. I thought this color went well with the foil that I had chosen. I have a lot of different foils, but I didn't have blue. I have lilac and black and gold and silver, multiple golds and silver. I've got like a rosy color. This teal, of course I have rainbow. So I have a variety of colors. So it looks like our sentiment is finished, and we can run it through the die cutting machine. And we'll take a quick peek at it. Hopefully it turned out all right. And it looks good, Sending Easter Blessings. And you can see that's a scrap. I had 2 little holes. I must have die cut out some little tiny die pieces on that for whatever reason. And so I just grabbed it. I thought, well, I can just foil it up. So this has coordinating dies for all 3 sentiments that come with this Betterpress plate. And I'm just going to use this mint tape and get it taped down so that it doesn't move on me. And we'll have our sentiment ready to go. Well, I think we're not going to get the snow that we thought we were going to get yesterday, but we still have quite a bit of snow on the ground, and it is very windy and very, very cold here. So we're kind of leaving our cabinet doors on our outer walls open that have the water so that, you don't run the risk of your pipes freezing or anything like that, and just trying to take precautions since it is incredibly cold and incredibly windy. Now here's the flower that I'm using. The bachelor button is actually on the card above that I'm kind of duplicating. It doesn't matter what flower I put on there. It was just the difference between the Betterpress plate and the Glimmer. Now here I'm bringing in my alcohol marker swatches and looking for the right color to match my cardstock. And so I found it, and I'm going to bring into a lighter and then the darker, and we're just going to color them up. Now usually I use the tip end here, the bullet nib, when I color, and when I did it last night, I actually did use the chisel, and I just kind of did some flicking and got some interesting looking dimension on the card or on the florals. So I'm just going to do it again that way and just use it, because I never use that wedge or chisel, I guess I should say. I never use that, so I found that I could do it with this and just kind of make some wispy little marks on our floral. And I'm just using the lighter color here, and then I'll come back in and add the darker color. We're going to curl these anyway, so it's not going to make that much of a deal. I just wanted to add some color to it. And I've got a sore throat, so that's probably why I sound funny and real nasally, real stuffy and everything. So I've been fighting that. Mornings are rough when I get up because I'm just so, I don't know, stuffed up and everything. But this is actually afternoon when I'm doing this voiceover, and it's still pretty froggy. So anyway, you can see how I'm just kind of adding some dimension to the flowers. And this one only calls for 2 layers on this particular flower. And so that's all I did. Now the leaves that go with this, I had made some extras last on that live. And so I have them in a dish, and I'll bring those in so I didn't have to color those up. So these are going to be curled. So you just take your tweezers and just curl the floral petals around your tweezers. And it'll just give it a little bit of a curl, a little bit of a dimension. And then you can layer them up. These are Susan Tierney Cochran's set. And I do a lot of hers, and they're always pretty intricate. And there's a little bit of work that has to be done on the flowers. But once you've done, 1 or 2 of hers, you kind of get the gist of how she does it. I will say there are videos on Spellbinder's site for her particular dies, and she shows you how to work with them to make them look most like the flower. So we've got those, and we're just going to layer those up. And then the inside of the flower, they look like stars, and you just take and cup them, and then you put them in the center of the flower, and it adds some great dimension to it. Now you could put some foam between these and kind of pop them up, but I didn't choose to do that. So I think there are 15 stars that she has included with this die, and she says you need 15 for the flower. Now I'm going to bring in just my rubber. This is a rubber mat. I think this is the embossing mat for, I don't know if it's, I think it's the embossing mat for the Platinum 6. I've got so many mats. It's hard to keep track of them, and I don't use them very much. So I basically have been using this one to do the cupping. And what I'm going to do is bring in a stylus that has a small tip and then a medium tip. And I'm going to use the medium tip to just cup these stars. And what it does is you just push in the center, and it just draws the star edges up to kind of make like a little cup. And so I'm just pushing in on these die cut pieces on this rubber mat, because it gives, it pushes in, and then you can just create that cup really easy with these. And then you're just going to put some glue in the center of your floral, and then you're just going to drop them in there and just let them lay wherever they lay, so that they'll be in all different directions, and you'll have all these little starry pokey points sticking up and around, and it just gives it really good dimension. So we're having a birthday party tonight, and I'm making pulled pork, and so I can smell it in the crock pot. I put it in this morning, and it's been cooking all day on low, and so it should be yummy. So we're going to have that tonight. So that'll be fun. We'll have some birthday cake too, so that's going to be fun. I got the gifts all wrapped and ready to go. I need to grab the cards. Now, I made a particular card for this birthday, and I need to go and find it. And I think the gift bag that I've chosen for the gift will match nicely with the card as well. So I'm just going to get my little pickup tool, and I'm just going to start picking these up and dropping these in there. And we'll do it 15 times. Yeah, you can just hear that wind howling out there. And of course, with the snow and the wind, then you got to, clear the driveway every day, because it blows it back in. So my husband was out there early this morning doing that. And getting everything taken care of. The boys are currently napping. That's the only way that I was able to get this voiceover done. We weren't able to go live, Daria and I, because I had the boys today. And miraculously, they both went down at the same time. And so I thought, well, I can get this voiceover done and get this video loaded and ready to go. So I've got this one stuck to my tweezers, so I'm just using my pokey tool to get it to lay down in there. And then I'm just going to use the wax tip, pick it up, the pointy tip to stick it down. And it really goes better that way. I'm actually sitting in the men cave in my rocking chair, just rocking. I love to rock. I always wonder if you hear the squeaky noises and stuff from the rocking chair, but I like to rock. I've always had a rocker, and I really like to rock. And my grandkids, I rock them. They climb up my lap every day, and we rock, and I rock them to sleep, and then I carry them into bed. The 4-year-old's getting, well, he'll be 4 next week, but he's getting so big I can barely carry him. He's just a big, tall, lanky thing. Anyway, but I rock them both. One sits beside me, and the other one sits. The youngest one sits on my lap, and they both just drift off to sleep. Usually, the youngest one goes down first, and I'll pick him up and put him, and then come out and rock the older one a little bit longer, and then he might doze off, and then I put him down. So they are snoozing, and I am wrapping this video up. So we'll get this flower laid down on here, and just put some glue on there and get it laid down. And then we'll add our sentiment, and we've got to get our leaves. I have to bring those in. And I think this color worked out well with the foil and the cardstock. And here's my little dish full of all kinds of goodies. And I just dropped those leaves in there last night, and I'm going to dig them out, and we'll just curl them up and get them laid down on here. Then we can add our sentiment and our embellishments, and we can be done with it. Grab one more. There's one that's not colored, so I'm going to throw it back in there. We won't use all of these. I have trouble with these particular leaves. I think are a little bit, I don't know, they're just different to work with, and I have a hard time getting them positioned in a way that I like. So I'm just curling this up. I'm just going to tuck part of it, glue part of it down, and let the other part kind of just stick up, just to have some extra dimension. And then we'll lay a couple more down. Sounds like there's some traffic outside. I don't know what all that racket is. Anyway, so we'll get these curled up and laid down on there. And I took my fingernails off. I decided to give my nail beds a chance to rest. And they were really needing filled in. I just didn't have the time to go and get them done. So I just took them off today and slapped some light pink polish on and put some glitter over it. I did the glitter because it helps the polish to stay on. I find that I can't keep my nails polished unless I have fake nails on. But glitter seems to want to stay, so I went ahead and put some glitter on top of the pink, and hopefully it'll stay on for a little bit. Just giving my nails a chance to strengthen and grow out a little bit on their own. So I'm going to tuck this last leaf in down there. And I have less room for my sentiment because I didn't space it as far apart, but I'm just going to tuck it in there kind of on the line of that border there. And I think it'll look nice. And I'm just going to glue it flat. And I got a little bit much on there, so I'm going to wipe it off just so we don't seep out all over the place. And clean the glue off my desk. We'll clean things up. I'm going to grab the embellishments and put a couple on there just like I did that one. These are the Spellbinders gems. I think they're the opalescent or opal, or I think is what it's called. And I'll just put 2 in this white space here, just like I did the other card. And then I'll nestle one in up there by that flower. And there we go. So that'll finish off our card. I think it looks really pretty, and you've got all the sparkle and all the shine with it. It glimmered beautifully. And so this one's the press one, and then this is the glimmered one. And, you know, they're both different, but they have their own special features. You know, the Betterpress, you've got the pressing, and then the glimmer, you've got all the shine. And here's the other two cards that I did on the live. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.